I want you to love whoever was in your past or whoever might be currently in your present enough to release them into their healing. Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath. So good to share energy with you. Come on in. Thank you for inviting me in. Interested in working with me? Talk to your angels first. Check out the description box below, and they'll lead you to the rest, as you know. I need you to be okay with loving someone, even if they've hurt you, even if you are triggered by them, even if you think they're your kryptonite, especially if they could be your kryptonite. I need you to love them so much that you allow yourself to release them. I know you're like, Monette, is this just another chat about like let it go, cut it off, which is my favorite thing to say? Yes, it is, but in a different way. Not just a repackaged chat, a different perspective, a new way to look at that theme in your life. We, as empath, earth angels, are healers, and we come to people's lives with all of this incredible energy, and it can be tumultuous. I want you to think about, I grew up here in Florida, and I spent a lot of time in my older years on the Space Coast, but space and the space program was always part of our life. I remember being a kid and watching the Challenger. They marched us outside. I was like maybe in kindergarten, first grade, and they marched us outside first grade, and they had us watch the Challenger ascend and talk about an existential crisis at the tender age of 6 to see that explode in midair. Like, that was insane. And having the teachers have to explain what happened to us because we were so prepared and we made our little goggles out of toilet paper rolls and all of the things. So ascension of a rocket ship, right? It is no easy feat. And I've been over to NASA and been out to one of the bays and literally watched rockets take off and space shuttles. And it's a privilege that we kind of take for granted when you live on this side of the world. However, what I remember, especially when we go to the planetarium and they actually like have us watch the process from, up close and personal and the cameras and all of that, is the violence of it. In order to have an ascension like that, the propulsion, the rocket power, the energy, the fire, the fuel, and everything is violently shaking. They would talk about how the astronauts have to be strapped in because they are pretty much almost rattled out of their brain. They could be concussed if their head is not literally secured and strapped in and all of the rest of that, like strapped to the backs of their seats, the whole nine, right? And it's because when you're taking that kind of flight, it's done with incredible might. One of the things that stuck out to my brain was watching the boosters fall off, right? Those boosters are absolutely needed to get the rocket ship through the window that is in the atmosphere so that it can ascend and be sent up way out there into the galaxy. It's incredible. It's amazing that we as humans have figured this out. Thank you for the Anunnaki and all of the ancient alien space technology that I think we're just getting recycled, probably in the lowest form, because they did it far better for many years. But that's another story and another video for another day. In any case, though, let's talk about this spiritually and metaphysically and how it relates to you emotionally and the connections. It's violent to have ascension sometimes, and that's something that we forget. Because when we go into people's lives and we enter in and we start new relationships, we're not thinking, I'm coming in to bring chaos and you're coming in to bring chaos and I welcome you in to bring chaos and this is going to be great. That's not what's happening. But it could very well be our fate. And sometimes it's inevitable because in order to ascend, there will be some level of shaking up that happens before you meet your goal's end. The boosters may want to kiss the galaxy. They may want to see what the night sky is that what's out there to see. Maybe they want to have the view of Earth from up there, but it's not their job to do. Their job is to provide enough fuel and enough energy to get that space shuttle to the right exact degree so that it can blast off into infinity. And their job is to fall away exactly at the right time after they've done their part and they've served their time. In so many ways, some of your relationships have been like that. Either people have been the boosters at your back, or you have been the boosters at someone's back. And so when I say love them enough to disconnect so that they can ascend, or maybe people loved you enough to disconnect so that you can ascend, we will make sense of the way things end. And one of the adages that we have is, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was yours, blah, 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 blah. Well, sometimes you're just supposed to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You're just supposed to let it go. And you may never know the rest. You may never know the effect. You may never know the ways that the disrespect or the respect that happened in that relationship reconfigured the brain, the emotional wiring of the person who experienced it, whether it be you or them. You're not supposed to stay there to do the job of the boosters, my friend, because the boosters don't have a job to do in the new atmosphere. When they get to space, there is nothing there for them to do except for to be litter, to forever float in perpetuity through the galaxies. That's why they are designed specifically to fall off where there is still gravity. Come on, angels. The angels are cooking today, because I was like, what are we talking about? Space? They said space. I said, okay, that's why angels. Shout out to the angels. I wish that there was like a way that we could like, woo, woo. I love my angels, man. They need to do the job where there's still gravity. There's a reason that they fall down, and it's because of gravity. Everything isn't supposed to go with you guys, okay? And you're not supposed to go with everybody. Things will fall away. And at times, you will be asked to love someone enough to be the boosters and fall away. I think about specifically, this is how I'm transmuting this retrograde, okay? So exes have come up. I had one very physical one try to spin, but the rest have come up in more of an esoteric way. Like, they pop up in a dream or whatever. And I know they're thinking about me and blah, 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 but I don't get caught up on that. That doesn't throw me. But I will transmute the energy of it. What the message is for you, and not just for me, is this. People understand now in your absence, how deeply your presence was felt. People understand that even though it was tumultuous and everything was shaking and it was violent and they had to strap in and you trigger the freak out of them, they understand that something unique, something special, something once in a lifetime was happening between you and them in that dynamic, something they had never experienced ever heretofore or to be experienced again. You were dispatched in at a certain time, just like those boosters are designed to fall off at a certain time. You were dispatched in to help them either ascend, to grow, to know something new. They were dispatched in maybe to help you sharpen your metaphysical tools. Maybe they were dispatched in to be gravity for you. Aha! Everyone doesn't want you to ascend. Some people are ankle grabbing, crabs in a barrel, trying to pull you back down to earth again. And you have to decide that this is your stop. Gotta say goodbye, gotta blast, gotta fly. See you never again. But thank you, my friend. It's not about being cruel. It's about understanding timing, universal timing, scientific timing. It's precise. The metaphysical sciences are feminine. It takes masculine sciences to figure out how to calculate, which ironically, watch Hidden Figures, it took feminine energy actually to get those calculations right. Thank you for the Hidden Figures. Thank you for the beautiful women of color that contributed to algebraic equations that these dudes couldn't figure out. We love to see it. In any case, in any case, it took It's a different kind of calculation that's happening in a different kind of equation. And it's one that's happening in a metaphysical, more feminine science way. And what I mean by that is that you're dealing with things spiritually. And there was a spiritual assignment between you and whomever, right? You. You is a new word I just made, okay? You and whomever. And so what I want you guys to know is that you had to let go, or they had to let go, or if you're in the midst of it now, and you can feel the shaking, and you can feel the rattling, and you can feel the propulsion, and the horsepower is too strong, it's not meant for you to hold on. And I want you to love, if you're at a crossroads in your life, especially during a Mercury retrograde, if you're at a crossroads in your life where you know that it's time to take flight, it's time to alight, it's time to lift off, then it's okay to allow those boosters to fall off, whether they be you or them. Love someone enough to allow them to ascend, whatever that means for them. Let me explain a little bit more. When you leave someone's life and you're like, but Monette, I tried to do the work and they weren't receptive and they didn't hear me and they were uncooperative and it just doesn't make sense, and is it unfinished and am I supposed to hold their hand the whole way? No. Some people plant seeds, some people harvest, some people till the soil. We all are not the farmer in charge of one person's life of growth. We are dispatched in at different times, just like people come in at different times for us. I had beautiful people come in and teach me lessons about my worth and value, but they weren't supposed to stay with me because they started to be ankle grabbers at a certain point. So I had to let it be. I had to allow gravity to do what gravity likes to do, which is gravity. I had to let that pass. I couldn't take them with me to the next place because whatever they were put in my life to do, they did brilliantly. They shifted my whole paradigm. They put in new downloads that they had and taught me beautiful root chakra grounded energy about financial awareness and wholeness. And I am forever grateful. But does that mean that they were supposed to be the boosters that went with me into the next galaxy? No. And also, was I supposed to go with them? No. But what happens is when you separate, with each person understanding the job has been done well and it's been done great, then new lessons can happen. And now that rocket is in the galaxy with a new incredible view of heaven to see. That never happens if you allow those boosters to stay. When I say love them enough to disconnect, it's because they'll never grow in the way that they need to if you stay attached, coddling. Come on, empath, let's talk about it. Being codependent and enabling. Moreover, that's the word here that happens when you stay attached to someone long past the expiration date that has been given to you. And you know, what expiration date? When I didn't get an expiration, I didn't get a letter. Does that come in the mail? No, it comes spiritually when you're plugged in. It comes through downloads from your angels, through synchronicities and signs. It comes in the violence of the shaking. Do you guys understand? When a relationship starts to get difficult, when it's impossible to manage, it's impossible to man the ship, it's impossible to navigate, it's impossible to drive. Everyone's being toxic. They're allowing friends and family in. They're allowing their past codependencies. Everyone gets to opine. And the relationship is just not between the two of you. It's no longer betwixt the two. That's when it's time to let the work that gravity likes to do, let it fall away from you. That's something we miss. That's the sign. That's the letter, sis. It's not an actual moment. No one's coming in. I mean, maybe you'll hear this video and that's also another form of you getting to know. So those of you that are plugged in metaphysically and spiritually and are listening to whomever your spirit guides are above and below, meaning like whoever you're on the YouTube streets plugged into, whoever are your teachers, you'll get a message. You could be watching a channel like I have beautiful channels where I check out in all kinds of ways to decompress. It's not just metaphysical stuff, right? And I could be watching my favorite girly and she could be making some homemade jams and I could get a lesson that comes in, even though she doesn't mean to, and that's not her modus of teaching, but the angels will make sure she does something brilliant with her speaking that day, and the message comes through that maybe it's time to make a shift. Maybe it's time to check something because she's talking about those berries that are blue. Do you guys get it? You just have to be aware of how your spirit team is talking to you, and it doesn't always come through the conventional methods. It won't always be a Monette. It won't always be a whoever, a Queen Cup, whoever are your spiritual metaphysical girlies that you you chime, or men, because there's some fantastic men out here in the metaphysical streets as well, that you chime into. It won't always be that for you. It will be whatever it is. But listen, and if it's not just a message that comes through in this kismet way, it'll be because of the violence and the shake. It'll be because a relationship becomes untenable. It will be because people become uncooperative. It will be because people that used to be your partners will feel adversarial. You will not trust them. You will feel like they are snaky. You'll feel weird. You'll start to have premonitions and dreams. That's when the shaking is ramping up. And it's as violent as it seems. And it's purposely designed that way because those boosters are designed to fall away. You guys get it? It is so intricately designed. And if you love someone, allow them to be on that demon time, meaning see them and observe them and don't try to change. I stopped negotiating with terrorists long ago. I let people have enough rope to hang themselves. I will watch someone acting the absolute fuck up in my energy. I will watch them taking me for granted, thinking they could replicate me. I will watch them being entitled. One of my favorite quotes that my angels helped me over the last couple of years, people that would come in my energy were both, I'm broke, but I'm entitled. I'm channeling Alanis Morissette. I'm broke, but I'm happy. It was all this cognitive dissonance. It was like, how are you both broke and entitled, homie? And I'm not talking about financially broke. They could have had more money in their bank account than me, and some of them did, but they were emotionally bankrupt, but also wanted to sup off of me for free. Well, where they do that at? Houseway? How? So I let people play the fuck up. I let people have dramatic play. That's what they call it when you're teaching early childhood education. When I would watch my little kids mirror what was happening, and they just are pretending that they're living life and they're cooking like their mom and dad do at home, and you get to learn a lot if you pay attention to those little moments from those kids about what's going on. But I would let a lot of people's inner childs run rampant in my energy field. They felt safe with me, Miss Monette. Even if I was their friend, I become somehow Miss Monette because that's the inner child work I do. So they were like, I'm safe with you, and I can have a tantrum with you, and I can punch you and kick you and bite you, metaphorically speaking, and I can disrespect you, and you're going to be the calm adult that just puts me in timeout. Except they forgot they were adults too, and I let them do all of the nonsense they wanted to do. I let them have a tantrum or 10 or 2, and then I did what the boosters are designed to do. I said, I love you so much, I will no longer enable you. That's the message for today, Earth Angels. That's the message for today, Empath. That's the message for today, Lightworker. It's a separation that you can smile about, and not in any mean way. Because the real work of whatever seeds you planted and whatever lessons you taught happen after you go away. I take no pleasure in it. Because if you love them, they were once part of your rocket ship. You guys were a team. But I have gone into many of my relationships with that understanding, with this cursory knowledge of living here on the Space Coast. I have gone into these relationships knowing better than most. Not always better than everyone. People have taught me for sure too. But I've known each part of this rocket ship is designed and has a specific work to do. And it's designed specifically for it to break into. That's a powerful word and a message from your angels today. It is designed specifically to break into. I want you to think about that when you go into relationships. Not everyone is going to fall apart. Not everyone is not going to be on your journey for the duration of your life. Reasons, seasons, lifetimes, yes. But I go into things and I'm okay with when it ends because I understand endings. And I've talked about that for you guys that have been here for a long time. I have a 8th house Scorpio placement. A Pluto and Scorpio placement in my 8th house, which means surprise. And that has to do a lot with emotional relationships. And it used to break me. It used to hurt me. But that's the beautiful thing about scorpionic energy in any placement in your chart, is it's there to teach you how to be okay when things fall apart. And believe it or not, voila, magic. It has absolutely insulated my heart. It doesn't mean I don't feel heartbreak. It doesn't mean that I'm not sad when things end in this Mercury retrograde nostalgic season. But it means that I understand that there will always, and there was always, a reason. It was not a coincidence that we met. When people can be like, oh, well, maybe that was an accident. No, there was no accident. You know, I've had people love bomb me, and then when I'm like, I'm not into it, they're like, well, how are you so sure that we're not soulmates? Because they're trying to love bomb me into it. And I'm like, I know. Because I know the way that I deserve to be treated. I know the energy that I give out. And I'm doing the math equations very much on some hidden figures type shit. I'm the woman of color that's doing these algebraic equations of metaphysical love and what matters. And the math is not mathing. So you couldn't be my forever or my anything ever after. Because the cosmos and the spirit team is like falling over with peals of laughter at the inference that you are any more than a booster that was designed to fall away. You better know who you are, because in your face people will play and they'll try to convince you that they are your forever soulmate, you're this, you're that. Soulmates come and go, bing bang bing. That's why I'm very comfortable with that word. Twin flames definitely are boosters that are meant to fall off. But not everyone has those major names attached to them, right? They could just be people passing by to teach you how to better fly. But if it is a pivotal person in your life and a pivotal relationship, stop enabling it. If you know that you're enabling it, only you can put out forest fires and only you can answer that question, sis. So you decide for you what category they're in. And then let gravity do what it's going to do. What it's always been doing. And it's not for you to outwit gravity or outcalculate gravity. You won't. You never will. Gravity is the great equalizer. Everything falls when it's supposed to fall, when it's inside of the atmosphere where that can happen. That withdrawal will not always feel good, but if you go into things thinking this is what the design is, every single relationship, every new person that's dispatched into my life, I make declarations to them. Our words matter, right? I tell them, while you're here, I'm going to love up on you in the best way. I'm going to receive from you. I'm going to learn from you. Whether it's a lover, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, whatever capacity they come in. And I let them know I observe you and I see you and I'm going to honor you while you're here, because I know that people don't always stay. That's that scorpionic 8th placement for me. It makes me very comfortable with it, with things not gonna, what was I gonna say? With things not being able to forever be. That's what I was gonna say. Not to say that I look for that, but it is to say that I pay attention to the shaking and the violence and the moments when it's no longer working. And instead of clinging on for dear life till my fingernails are hurting, I just release and free fall with gravity. Because clearly I must have another place to be, another destiny, another place to be dispatched into. I am sent in, and so are you, Earth Angel. Oh, my angels have this on my heart so much to teach you guys about this. That's another story for another day. We are dispatched in, and we're not very rarely meant to stay. I want you to be comfortable with that. You don't have to have my placement, and that doesn't have to be your astrological workup. But I want you to understand, if you approach that, you'll be more appreciative of the relationships that come in for you. I am grateful for the people that are dispatched into me, because I understand they could very well be temporary. And my intention is to treat them well, love them well, be receptive, help them grow in whatever way I can. And if they stay forever, then brilliant. But if they have to fall off at some point, I can look back at them, or they can look back at me if they're the one ascending, and say, wow, that was a pivotal part of my destiny. I'm grateful. I would not have ascended to the heights that I did had I not had that encounter with fill in the blank. You, me, whoever. And vice versa. Because it won't always be us that are the ships ascending. Sometimes we are designed to fall off of other people's lives so that they can ascend right. Which brings me back to the beginning. A very good place for us to end today. Love them enough to fall away. That's where the magic happens. if I would have stayed in people's life trying to prove to them and get it right and try to show them. Like, for example, I had a ex and I knew that there was toxic people in her life. And they disapproved of our relationship and wedged in between it and did all the things, right? And I learned so many lessons. Of course, on the other side of it, there'll be lessons you learn. For example, don't ever love someone who can't stand up to their friends and family and protect your relationship. You know, yada, yada. The basic things, right? This is many, many years ago. But I also knew how those people were going to do her and turn on her and how much they couldn't wait to kind of have me, which was a protection, because empaths, what are we? An umbrella of protection. I'll link the video below. We are protection for people, not just an edification and a blessing. We're that too. But when someone is under our umbrella, we protect them because we're insightful. We're wise. We give them advice. We can see that people are full of shit, right? And we protect people, even inadvertently, even if we don't mean to, even if they're hurting us. As long as they're proximal to us, close to us, we will protect them. That's why I say disconnect. It's not a coincidence. So she was still very much under my protection, and those people didn't want her under my protection because then they couldn't run rampant with her. They couldn't scramble her mind. They couldn't get her addicted. They couldn't, etc., etc., etc. And so they did their magic. And also, it was part of the design. Clearly, there was a fall away that was supposed to happen because the shaking was violent and everything was tumultuous and so very difficult. And it wasn't difficult that I was making it. It was a difficult that was purposely being made because at that moment in her life, I was designed to fall away. But now all of those lessons about who those people were sat in for her. She understood. She understood immediately after I left and tried to fix it. But see, that's one thing about me, and I recommend it for you too, sis. Stand on business, okay? When my angels tell me that it's time to go, gotta blast, gotta fly, fall away, whatever. Whichever way it's going for you, whether you're the rocket or you're the boosters, when my angels say that to me, I don't question. I don't negotiate with terrorists, and I literally do not second guess my angelic team because they've never steered me wrong, not once, not one time. And I could have loved someone for 50 years and they say they're out of your life. And then I will let that person know, okay, well, thanks. I appreciate it. The soul contract's over. We did it. Congratulations. We graduated. And they could be like having whiplash about it because a lot of people haven't done their shadow work about endings, but a lot of you guys here have, whether that's your placement or not. And so in that moment, she spun the block pretty quickly within days and was like, this is like within less than days, really. She was like, I feel like you died. I feel like this is like, I can't believe, because she could feel that something was different. Because when we stand on business, it does feel different, doesn't it? And I felt for her. I really did, but not enough to go back to Egypt. Okay? There can be miracles if you believe. The whole reason that people escape when we're talking about Exodus is because stuff wasn't right back with the Pharaoh. You guys had a lot of pharaohs in your life that were being overpowering authoritarians, dictators in your life, weren't treating you right, but wanted you to stay and be enslaved. We don't go back and have nostalgia about being enslaved. And so even though I was just a few days out, I was just eyes free, just a few days from that slavery, the mental and emotional slavery that I was in, I did not have nostalgia for my Pharaoh whatsoever. I was like, see you later. Never again, friend. See you never lifetimes. I actually shut that one down for the rest of lifetimes. I said, I will not be doing this with you again in another lifetime and not in this one at all. And I absolutely allowed the withdrawal to withdraw. But that's when the lessons started to set in. That's when she started to immediately almost wake up and realize, wait, none of these people are my friend? No. None of those people are your friend. And now that's the bed you've made. And it will be the bed you lay in. Now you better figure out how to have friendships with them because that's the choice you made. Those separations that happen don't happen easy. To have the boosters fall off doesn't happen in the blink of an eye. It takes a little time. It has to build up enough, propulsion and velocity in order for that to happen. It's not overnight that these relationships end, guys. So if someone's trying to spin back because now they realize, let them realize. That's when the growth happens. That's when they can now choose to ascend, or they can choose to descend. If they want to just fall into the gravity way, it just depends. But it's no longer your job to enable them. Don't stay. The reason I say that specifically is because it will hinder you. It'll stop your growth. Never have you seen a rocket double back to pick up the boosters. The rocket has a job to do. It has a place to go. It has a destination to get to. It has a space station to get to. More tools to learn. More people to meet. I just don't want you guys to be fooled by people that would love to stay hanging on to your energy, clinging on like crabs in the barrel to your feet. Let them learn their lessons where they stay. Let them be the people that they wanted to be when they were fighting you every single day, when you were just trying to help or hold them to a different level of accountability or maturity or whatever the case may be. Then they'll realize what was around them or what their life really was. You know, I said this recently to one of my clients who was brave enough to allow the boosters to fall off, and she got a divorce because it's what was right for her. It's not always right for everybody, but it was right for her. And right before this happened, as we were reading, what was coming up was that her husband was approaching his second Saturn return. So before divorce papers were filed or any of that, and I was talking to her, and what the angels channel was that this is going to be the most difficult years of his life if he doesn't get this right. Because the Saturn return is karmic. And it's about reassessing what we've done in our life. And if he wasn't going to treat my client right, as the angels were mandating, he had a whole spirit team came in. It was really cool imagery. My angels gave me, they were like Lokes, and they were like in Dickies, and they had on plaid shirts. Like they look like essays, like from, California. And it was really funny. They're like, we've been trying to talk to him, and he wasn't listening. And he went off on some errant, crazy shit. My client did what she needed to do. She followed through with it. But just recently, I was saying to that client, my God, today, I could never, even with me being the one who was put in her life to predict what was going to be happening and to guide her through that time and season, never did I think he would end up in the shambles that he ended up in. When people are attached to you guys, there is a protection, there is a blessing. He was living such a beautiful life with my client that he totally took for granted. And had she not listened wisely to when it was to be ended, and she was supposed to allow those rocket boosters to fall away, what a miserable place she would have had to inhabit and live in and stay. And also, it was such a... God, I wish I could show you on a TV screen what I see in my mind's eye. It was so clear how he was siphoning energy and sucking off of her life force. Because as soon as she disconnected, he devolved into I can't even describe it, like a bum, essentially. Like, I couldn't, and he was not like that when he was with my client. He was, well kept and all the rest. Not well kept, I mean, but you would say, oh, he was probably a nice looking guy, or he was this, or he was that. You could probably say nice things about him. But as soon as he was not, supping from the energy, the magical energy of my client, my God, today, I won't go into details because that's her business, but that part specifically, I feel like is a good teaching lesson. An absolute mess. You don't realize how sometimes y'all are holding people together with your energy. I've never seen a more powerful and poignant fall apart than when he left. It was like, talk about you want to stay connected to the Empress. But here's the thing, guys, it's free will. Everyone doesn't have to stay connected to us. Sometimes they need to feel. What did our parents used to say? I can show you better than I can tell you. Sometimes the universe has to show people better than you could tell them. I stopped using all of my magical words to tell people. I'll give you a couple of 3 times, if I love you especially. But then after that, I'm just watching you act crazy and play up in my energy, and then I will disconnect, and I'll let you free fall your ass right back to earth. And then you can figure out exactly what I was worth from down there. That part. Sometimes I've been down there. That part too. But the point is, today, the people that are down there is not you, collective. If you could see the way this man turned into life was in shambles, I was like, damn, I didn't even think you were holding him. I knew my client was amazing, but I had no idea that she was giving him life ever freaking lasting. Oh my God. He needed that disconnection. He needed that reality check. And sometimes people play with you and they don't understand that they're about to intersect specific astrological moments in their life where it's like, if you don't get this right, they don't realize they're in a test. Very Beauty and the Beast. I have a video here about that. We are the high priestess by the door. People will give us their ass to kiss. They'll be like, oh, you're in tattered rags, or you don't feel right, or you don't fit what society says, or whatever the reason is, they're treating you terribly and they reject you, and they don't know that they were on the precipice of a cosmic astrological shift in their destiny, and you were their test, and their karmic retribution is all about how they treated you in that season. I've dated people that were just about to ascend and leave a big karmic swath behind, like they had finished it and they had like gotten through it, and I was like the final test for them, even though I didn't understand it when we got into it, but halfway through it I was like, oh, I get it. And then I will watch how that person would play with me, and I was like, ooh, choices were made that will now lead you to a very uncomfortable future destiny, because you didn't realize that I was the high priestess by the door. You just thought I was a crazy person triggering you to be ignored. We're always being tested, guys. Some people will have been in shambles when you've disconnected, and that's all right, because they chose that free will. That client definitely talked to her husband when he was still her husband, her ex-husband now, and said, hey, I need better this, I need better that, I need XYZ to the third power, right? Whatever their issues were, she addressed it coolly, calmly, repeatedly. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm still going to play. And she said, okay, I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. She didn't do it to be vindictive. And don't you for a second think it was easy for her, because it wasn't. Just like it's not easy for you, right? People think just because we do what we need to do, because we listen to our spirit team, and because we will allow those rocket boosters to fall away, that it's so easy for us and it's just a game that we love to play. No. It costs us something. There are dark nights that we have to go through for that too. But it doesn't cost us near as much as it does the people that have to fall away from you, especially if you gave them fair warning, as many people do. I think back to Moses going to Pharaoh. He said, let my people go. So many of you have had that figurative moment where you've said, let my people go. Stop this behavior. What are you doing? I deserve more. Why are you breadcrumbing me? Don't talk to me this way. You have warned them with your calm, sweet energy. And then it got frightening and scary, and stuff started to get shaken up. The plagues came for Pharaoh because he wouldn't release them as he was supposed to. There are warnings that always come for those who disrespect you and try to deny you. He thought he was all powerful. So many people in your life did, until one day he was face to face with the man who he once used to beat down as a kid, his own brother, if you know the story, who said, I will take my people away from you and lead them into glory. Let my people go. You guys are free. The boosters have fallen away. You live your better destiny. There's nothing else for you to say, do, or fix. Love them enough to no longer enable it. And let the universe teach them the lessons that you never could. Now they have ears to listen. And they really wish that they would have listened to you. Because that's the other thing they don't realize, is that going through those changes that felt so uncomfortable, that they were so angry at you about, would be so much easier connected to you, because you know how to walk it out. That's why you were actually in union at one point, whomever, whether it's an ex-husband, an ex-friend, an ex-lover, a family member, you were in union because you had the ability to help them with the communion of spirit, but they didn't want to hear it. The universe said, say less. My beautiful empath, earth angel, and light worker gave you their best, and what you gave them back was disrespect. So now we'll let gravity break your neck. We'll let gravity do the rest. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.